Okay, Shalom. Giving all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone at Well, and a sincere Shalom to you, Akim, that be listening and learning, and also those of you that be pushing this word around the globe with faith and truth and sincerity. I'm the brother Caleb from the GMS London Forecasters Camp, and I'm back with another lesson to help edify the Lord's elect. As always, I like to start by saying that we are the real Hebrew Israelites, the real Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Hispanics, Native Americans, West Indians, and West Africans predominantly. However, you will find Israelites that do look like the other nations because we as a people have been scattered amongst all nations throughout our various captivities. But if your seed line by your forefathers goes back to the man in the Bible that was named Israel, then you too are an Israelite no matter what you may look like, because the book of Numbers chapter 1 and verse 18 states that your nationality is determined by the lineage of your forefathers. And before I go any further, I want to make it clear the names that we give reverence unto are Yahweh, which is the one true name of the God of the Bible. His name is Yahweh, which means he is or he exists in the Hebrew. And his son's name, the one that the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, his name is Yahweh Shai in the Hebrew, whose name means he saves or he delivers. Those are the names we give reverence unto. So I'm just going to do a bit of a just kind of flowing in the spirit, I suppose, because I want to talk about something that happened to me last night. Last night I had a dream, and it was quite a spiritual dream. So I thought I'd do a brief lesson talking about it. I mean, it's really not that deep, but when I woke up this morning and I was reflecting upon the dream throughout the course of the day, I thought, you know what, man, that's actually quite interesting and quite symbolic because it ties in with some scriptures and it ties into what we're about to face. So I'll tell the dream and then I'll break it down and bring out some precepts. So obviously I was asleep last night and I had this dream, and in the dream I was back with some guys who I used to know in the world, but this is like years ago, like maybe in my I kind of finished hanging around with them in my early 20s, but I knew them from school, like secondary school, stuff like that. But in this particular dream, I was on a bike. Now that's interesting too because I haven't ridden a bike since I was like maybe 14. But you know, when I was a young child, me and my friends, we'd ride our bikes. You know, we'd go to the park and have races on our bikes and stuff. That was something we used to do after school sometimes, which was fun. But the interesting thing is that in this dream, I was back in that situation of like, I mean, I was still the age I am now, meaning that I'm a grown man, but I was back with people who I knew in the world, and I was on a bike. But yet I was in my how I am today kind of thing. So it's a bit strange. First of all, to be on a bike because I haven't ridden a bike in years because I don't have one. But secondly, to be around these people who I used to associate with in the world because I cut off the vast majority of the people who I knew in the world when I came into this truth, and some even beforehand because they were just into some, you know, worldly shit which I had no interest in. So we kind of drifted apart. But in this dream, I was on a bike and I was with one particular guy who I used to know in the world. Now, I believe this guy to be an Edomite, but I was with him. But the interesting thing, reason why I'm saying this is because when I used to ride the bike, I used to ride with my Jake friends predominantly. This other guy who I knew him in a different context at school and stuff. I never went bike riding with this particular guy, but we was there and we was at the edge of a forest, and I was excited to be on the bike because I do enjoy riding. And he was on the bike too, and he's like, "Yeah, let's go through the forest." Now, for some strange reason, I was able to see through the spirit into the depths of the forest, and I could see that there were lions, wild lions, roaming about in that forest. And I thought to myself, nah, man, I ain't riding through there with them lions in there. They could jump out and, you know, knock me off the bike and devour me. this is what I was thinking in my head, but I didn't say anything. But he was adamant that he wanted to ride, and he couldn't perceive the danger. He was like, yeah, let's ride, let's go for here, let's go for here, it'd be fun. But in my mind, I could see through the spirit deep into the forest, and I knew that there was wild lions roaming around in there. So I was thinking to myself, no, I'm not going to chance that. I'm not going to chance that. So it was a very brief dream, right? But he decided to ride through the forest. But I thought, nah, I'm not going that way. And I decided to go another way. And I woke up. Now, when I was thinking about the dream throughout the course of the day, I thought it was strange because, first of all, as I said, I never used to go bike riding with this particular friend who I believed to be an Edomite. We did different stuff. When I used to ride bikes, it was with my Jake friends who I knew from my primary school and who lived nearby me. So we'd go out and we'd go, we'd ride up and down, or we'd go over the park and we'd race our bikes and stuff. We'd have fun. And as I say, that was with my Jake friends, my other Israelite friends. So when I was thinking about the dream through the course of the day, I noticed some things, and it made me think of some particular things. The thing that really came to my mind was the thought of me being able to perceive the danger before it happened, but yet my friend who was with me, he couldn't perceive it. And then I thought to the guys who I knew when I used to ride my bike with them, they were Jakes, and they don't know this truth as far as I'm aware. Some of them are Christians, some of them are just in the world, but they can't perceive the danger that's to come. So the first precept that came to my mind is, and there's a couple of them, but I'll read this one. This is 1 Peter 5 and verse 8. So let me get that right. Because the thing that dream made me think of is Jacob's trouble, and how I was able to foresee the danger and hopefully avoid it. So this is 1 Peter chapter 5 verse 8, and it says, right, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour. So that's the first precept that came into my mind in the context of this dream, because as I said, we were at the edge of the deep forest, and the friend who I was with, he wanted to ride through the forest and he couldn't see no danger. But through the spirit, I could see that there are roaring lions roaming up and down in that forest, both male and female, that could have, jumped out a bush and devoured me at any time. So I'll read it again. 1 Peter 5 verse 8. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour. Now the next precept that came to my mind was, because as I said, I was thinking about Jacob's trouble. So let me just get this precept if I can find it. What are we looking for? I'm looking for Amos, the 5th chapter. Amos 5 verse 19. It says, verse 18, Salakia, woe unto you that desire the day of Yahweh. To what end is it for you? The day of Yahweh is darkness and not light, as if a man did flee from a lion and a bear met him, or he went into a house and leaned his hand on a wall and a serpent bit him. Shall not the day of the Lord Yahweh be darkness and not light, even very dark and no brightness in it? So let's read that again. Woe unto you that desire the day of Yahweh. To what end is it for you, Slakia? The day of Yahweh is darkness and not light, as if a man did flee from a lion and a bear met him, or went into a house and leaned his hand on the wall and a serpent bit him. So that guy who I was with, who was adamant and excited to ride through that forest, I believe through the spirit he's an Edomite, and he's not going to escape any of the tribulation to come. He's gonna go straight into it, because that's Esau's lot. Esau doesn't have a savior. Esau doesn't have a deliverer. The Most High has a sacrifice in Bozrah. So the dream was showing me that he wanted to enter into that forest without perceiving any kind of danger. Well, guess what? For him, he's going to be in straits. As if a man did flee from a lion and a bear met him, or went into a house and leaned his hand on a wall and a serpent bit him. He's not going to escape the tribulation. So that's that aspect of the dream. I perceived. Now, I haven't seen this guy in years, but wherever he is, if he's still above ground, when Yahushua returns, it's going to be a wrap for that dude, It's going to be a wrap. And as for my other friends who I knew in the world, they're going to have to go through the tribulation too. Now, if they're not in this truth, who knows? Because I haven't spoken to them for years. Maybe they've woken up, but somehow I highly doubt it. But they're going to go through Jacob's trouble, and they're going to experience this too. Once again, as if a man did flee from a lion and a bear met him, or he went into a house and leaned his hand on a wall and a serpent bit him. So basically that dream was kind of a premonition of the danger to come. And through the spirit, I was able to perceive the danger and avoid it. Now, this isn't the first dream that I've had of this nature. I've had quite a few dreams over the years about particular people who I've known, and the spirit has been telling me or showing me certain things about these people which kind of motivates me to move away from them. I'll give you another example. In my early 20s, no, I was about 18, 19, Salakia. So at the end of my late teens, I used to have a group of friends, and one of them was a guy who looked like a Moabite, but I believe through the spirit he's an Israelite because he's got too much swag to be a straight up Moabite, and he was always hanging around with Jakes. And we try the spirit by the spirit, and when you're spiritual you learn how to read spirits, because it's like most straight up Moabites, they'll hang around with their own people, but sometimes you'll have a situation where there's a group of you who are Jakes, and you might have one so-called white guy hanging with you, and he can hang. He's got salt, he's got flavour. Usually that guy is going to be an Israelite foreigner. Likewise, this guy was a Moabite, but he had salt, he had flavour, and he was always hanging around with Jakes and always vibing with us. So I believe through the spirit that this guy was an Israelite. However, just because you're an Israelite doesn't necessarily mean that you're of the elect. You could still be of the 2/3 destined to be destroyed. And that's what this guy was, because in this dream that I had, I must have been about 18, 19, as I said, because this was back when I was at college. And I used to hang around with this guy frequently. Like, we used to go to each other's houses and play PlayStation and stuff. And at the time, we used to play a lot of what game do we always used to play Street Fighter Alpha 3 and things of that nature, because that was around like late 90s. And he was really good at Street Fighter as well, so that's another reason why I believe through the spirit that he's a Jake, because he was damn good. And I like to play competitively, so for me to say he's good, So yeah, we used to hang out and stuff, and we'd go to arcades, because that's back when arcades actually used to be a thing. We'd go to arcades, we'd go to each other's houses, chill, listen to music. He was a decent friend for a guy in the world. Now, one day I had a dream, and in this dream I was in a shopping mall, and I was on a very, very high floor, like higher than a regular shopping mall, because most shopping malls, they go about maybe 3 stories, but this was extremely high. Now, I don't like extreme heights. I don't enjoy that at all. And I perceived that we was very, very high, but this friend, he was dancing around, and I perceived that I was in a really, really high place. And I thought, you know what, man, I'm not going to walk around because I could stumble and fall. So I decided to lie flat on the floor on my back. But this guy was dancing around, not perceiving the danger of the situation. And he was dancing near the edge. Well, in the dream, the edge where he was near, the barrier gave way or whatever, the balcony broke, and this guy fell and he plummeted to his death. So I walked to the edge and I looked down and I could see his mangled body on the floor. And then I woke up. Now, the thing is with me, whenever I have dreams, usually I'm able to break them down and interpret them myself. That's something that the Most High has blessed me with the ability to do. And at that time, I perceived a lot through having that dream, because it's quite violent. Like it's very graphic when I looked down and I saw his mangled body on the floor. And through the spirit, I kind of felt like that dream was telling me, look, be careful about hanging around with this guy because he doesn't perceive the danger to come. Now, at the time, I didn't know the scriptures. I didn't know any breakdowns. I never heard of GMS. This is like back in like 1999, 2000, probably around 2000, either year 2000 or 2001. But at the time, the dream was telling me that this guy, he's worldly and he doesn't perceive the spiritual danger to come. And it's weird because in my mind, I was like, there's danger, but I didn't know exactly what it was. I had no idea that Yahushua was coming back to judge this place back then. But through the Spirit, I was being forewarned. So after I had that dream, I decided, you know what, he's a cool guy, but I'm going to kind of distance myself a bit from this guy. And it's not the first dream that I've had about somebody who I know where the Spirit's been telling me, distance yourself from this person or distance yourself from that person. And I follow it because, we have dreams for reasons. Now, some dreams may just be silly or whatever. But as I said with myself, when I have a dream and if I reflect on it and I'm able to break it down, I perceive that, hang on a minute, the Spirit's telling me something and I need to take heed to what it's telling me. So yeah, that guy, I stopped hanging around with him so much. I mean, I haven't seen him for years. He's a contact on my Facebook and that's cool, but as in terms of like physically actually going to his house or hanging around with him, I cut ties. But I did that with most of the people that I know in the world. Bear with me a second, I'm going to find a precept. I think it's in Job. Yes, this is in Job. This is Job, the 33rd chapter and the 15th verse. It says, in a dream, in a vision of the night. No, let me read up. Job 33 from verse 14. For God speaketh once, yea, twice, yet man perceiveth it not. In a dream, in a vision of the night, when deep sleep falleth upon men, in slumberings upon the bed, then he openeth the ears of men and sealeth their instructions, that he may withdraw man from his purpose and hide pride from man. So, when the Spirit speaks, let me read that again because that's a heavy scripture. Job 33 from verse 14. For God speaketh once, yea, twice, yet man perceiveth it not. In a dream, in a vision of the night, when deep sleep falleth upon men, in slumberings upon the bed, then he openeth the ears of men and sealeth their instruction, that he may withdraw man from his purpose and hide pride from man. So yeah, as I said, when I get these dreams, I do take them seriously because I perceive that the Most High is trying to show me something about a situation or a circumstance or maybe a particular person. And so far in my life, it's never proved me wrong. It's never led me wrong. It's never led me astray. And likewise, sometimes I've had dreams about men who I know in this truth. And the Spirit has shown me certain things about these men and it's proven to be true. So it's not always the case where the Spirit shows me something to make me withdraw from somebody. Likewise, I've had dreams which have led me to draw closer to certain people in this truth. For example, I'll give a brief testimony. There was another dream I had one time where I was walking and I was trying to find my way. And this was like maybe just about a year or two ago I had this dream. And I knew I had to get somewhere, but I didn't know the way. And what happened is I bumped into the elder of my camp. And he's like, oh, nah, brother, we got to go this way. Yeah, we're going to go this way, over that bridge, down here, through there. I know the way. So I was following him. And it was a long journey, like, through these tunnels, over these bridges, long ass way. But in the end, we got to a place. And in that place, there was other brothers from other camps in GMS in this place. And we all came to the same place. So in that dream, I was shown that these brothers are on the right track, they're on the right path, stick with them. Just roughly breaking it down. I mean, I'm not going into too much of the depths of, exactly what happened. I'm just getting to the point of, sometimes the Spirit shows me things to withdraw from certain people. Sometimes the Spirit shows me things to draw closer to certain people through dreams. And this has happened all throughout my life, even before I came to this truth. And it's still happening now I'm in this truth. So it's a very, very powerful thing. Now, I hope that makes sense, because this isn't one of my regular lessons where I've got, a topic or an article or something where I break it down. I'm just speaking about, through the Spirit, about certain dreams I've had and me breaking them down in the Spirit to discern what they mean. So yeah, I hope that's been edifying in some way, shape or form, and it hasn't been a case of me rambling. I brought out the precepts because we're coming into a time now where every man is going to be tried. And just as pertaining to 2nd Ezra, the 7th chapter, we're on that narrow path where only one man can go through at a time. So you got to make sure that your ass is on the right track and on the right path and doing the things which are pleasing to Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shai. Because I'll say this, man. I'll say this. A lot of people think that they can choose their friends. But you can't. You can't. It's like the Most High, he wants things done a certain way. And if you're a man of the hopeful elect, the Most High is going to want you to be around other like-minded individuals. The scripture says, can two walk together lest they be agreed? Let me get that one. Bear with me. Amos 3 and verse 3. Right. Can two walk together except they be agreed? Can two walk together except they be agreed? So, what's the other precept? Bear with me, there's another one in my head. Second Corinthians 6 and 14, that's the one I want. It says, be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship have righteousness with unrighteousness? And what communion have light with darkness? Now, I want to say something. That guy who I knew in the world, the guy who looked like a Moabite but was a Jake, he's a friend on Facebook, like a lot of people who I used to know in the world. Their contacts on Facebook. I don't really, I don't link with them, I don't see them, but they're on my Facebook. And when I look at the way he's living his life now, he's a very, very worldly guy. He's he's doing a lot of worldly shit, he's just a carnal, worldly guy. He's got his, he wants to try and look like he's one of those, one of the triads or something, like he's got his arm covered in, dragon tattoo sleeves and all this kind of shit. He's just a very, very worldly guy. Now, through the Spirit, we know that, getting tattoos is off. We know that a lot of shit that's worldly is off. And I had this dream about this guy damn near 20 years ago, and I stopped fellowshipping with him and linking with him too tough. And all these years later, I can see that dream showed me the kind of guy who he was and the kind of guy who he would become. Whereas I became more spiritual and I ended up in this truth, he became more and more worldly, and he's still worldly to this day. And you can see certain guys, man. When you look at certain people or you talk to certain people, you can see that they're not thinking about heavenly things. They're not thinking about the Most High. They're not thinking about the return of Yahweh Shai. They're not even thinking about anything spiritual because they've been blinded by this world. And if you fellowship with guys like that, you can't be unequally yoked with them, because by being If you decide, as I said, you can't choose your friends. The Most High is going to choose the people He wants you to be around. And if you're spiritual, you'll walk that path, and He will lead you to the men that you're supposed to be associated with. If you choose to go against that, and you think, you know what, man, nah, but that's my boy, man. Yeah, we grew up together. We used to ride bikes and all this kind of shit. And you cling to these people. Guess what? You might end up getting destroyed with these people, because Yahweh Shai is not playing games, man. Yahweh Shai is not coming back to negotiate or anything like that. He's coming back to judge this world. So what does the scripture say? Work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. So don't let other people hold you back. And you know what, man? I have to say, Barakah Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai, for blessing me with these spiritual dreams to make me take the paths and make the choices I've made, which have led me to this point in time, where, you know, by the spirit and grace of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai, I'm in the truth. You know, and I can see what's going on in the world, and we're not in darkness as the rest of the world is in darkness. We know Yahweh Shai is coming back very soon. We know Esau's going to get destroyed, and this whole society is going to go up in thermonuclear destruction. We know we're going to be going through Jacob's trouble. We know that Satan walketh about as a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. See, you know, as the scripture says, the prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself. I'm going to close out on that one, maybe. Bear me, let me get it. Prudent man. That's not the one I want. Yeah, there's two. First of all, I'm going to start with Proverbs 14, verse 15. This says, the simple believeth every word, but the prudent man looketh well to his going. As I said, I had that dream where I perceived that the path we was going to ride our bikes through the forest, there are wild lions roaming in that forest. I perceived the danger. Next precept I'm going to get is Proverbs 22 and 3. 22 and 3. This says, a prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. Let's read that again. A prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. I'm going to get one more before I close out. James chapter 4, verse 4. This is a good classic. I love this one. James 4, verse 4. Ye adulterers and adulteresses, know ye not that the friendship of the world is enmity with God? Whosoever therefore will be a friend of the world is the enemy of God. So, yeah, as I said, man, you can't choose your friends. When you come to this truth, you're supposed to trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not unto thine own understanding. Trust in the Lord, and he will guide you to the men who will be more like-minded, and you'll be able to have a proper fellowship and friendship with them, because, as I said, can two walk together lest they be agreed? And a lot of the people in the world, they're adverse to this truth. They're adverse to anything spiritual. So really, you should be around spiritual men if you're sincere and in this truth. So yeah, with that, I'm going to give all praises, honor, and glory once again unto Yahweh, B'Hashem Yahushai, B'Hashem Rachachodash. Double honors unto the elders and apostles of Great Millstone that rule well, and sincere shalom to you Archeum that are listening, or you Arkwaf that are listening to and learning and supporting the ministry. And with that, shalom for now, and I'll catch you on the next lesson, Lord willing. Shalom for now.